everybody, Joker Plays here. Today's video is actually a quick one for you today. This is prompted by a question that I received from one of my subscribers, so I want to thank them for the video idea. This video has everything to do with some building tips when putting up structures that are custom. If you do the pre-builds, that's great. If you want to start getting into some custom structures, that's where this video is going to start helping you do those as well. So without further ado, I'm going to start doing some building. And to start building, we need to put down some foundations. And typically when you first start getting build, you want to keep it simple. You want to put down a couple of these 16 by 16 foundations. So let's say we're going to make a 2 by 3, right? So we have two 16 by 16s and three 16 by 16s wide. So that's the structure we kind of want to build. And this is what most people do. They put down these big builds and they begin to put up their walls. And so when you begin to put up your walls, this is where the confusion or the tips really start to kick in as to how to build a better building. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use a combination of our free pieces that we get, which is going to be the brick walls and the yellow walls. So both of these are great. I use them on a regular basis. A lot of my recent builds, if you've caught me on my streams, I'm using the Beachy build set. Those are the blue ones. I bought that simply so that I could get the blue wall configurations, but it also has a very bonus piece that I use quite often, and I think right now is probably the most valuable piece in the game. So that's the reason for that. So let's start this off. I'm going to put down two different walls just so that you get the color contrast and see what's going on. So on the inside, you'll see it looks the same between the brick and the yellow. And I put down two walls and they are the exact width. And all this is great. So if you wanted to continue your build, you can. But this is where you start getting into some of the build tips. Okay, so if we were going to start, these were our two walls on the side. If we wanted to start putting up our roof pieces, this is where the tips come into play for a minute. Okay, so let me go down to my end pieces. Okay, so here I put this end piece on there, get the mirrored version, put that on there. Now you're left with the gap. Okay, so you have a gap, you need to fill this up. And this is when you're going to go back to your walls, go to your half walls. Takes a minute to scroll down to all these. It's great to have all these build pieces, but then it makes your menus that much bigger. Okay. Alright, so now you have this piece here, which doesn't fit, right? So you have a couple different options. You can build using these to make them fit. That works fine. And then you got this piece. But then if you look at the inside, the aesthetic doesn't quite match because now you have two white ones in a row instead of getting that tan colored one. Okay, that you can do when you go to do the next level. You'll notice that if you try and keep the same aesthetic, that you're going to be one piece off. Okay, it's not going to let me build because I'm one off. So you have the option to do an offset here, there, and then one more. Nope, these pieces are not going to allow it. So if I go back to so you can't put a second tier if you're using these pieces. Okay, if we were to do the Beachy build pieces, for an example, let's try those. These are a little bit lower profile on the pitch side. Okay, so if we do the Beachy build, you see these fit, and if we wanted to go up another tier, we can. So that's good, but then we got to make sure we go one extra bit on the offset so that we can fit the mirrored image side. and we are good to go. So then you end up with the second tier being coming in with a different overhang. Okay, so to fix this, this is a key to building right here. You've got your two 16 by 16 pieces wide, and then so what we are going to actually do is add another 4 by 16 on the side. Okay, so these two 4s, this additional 4 studs right here is going to give you the ability to do some things that just change things just a little bit different. So let me go by the single pieces. Okay, so we're going to start with a 1 by or a 2 by in the corner, 2 by 2. Okay, so we start with this. Because we're 4 extra studs wide, we need to be able to fill this gap a little bit better. But now you have the ability to go back. We're going to do the same thing. You'll see that we can fit 2 16 walls side by side. Okay, I'm just doing 2 different ones for color contrast to show the difference. And then here we could do the other one. This we could do this corner piece. Okay, so you got 2 different looks, 2 different styles working together. But now if we take that same roof line, so we're going to go back to doing the yellow roof line pieces. Okay, so that lines up. Good, so that's all put in place. And then now if we go back to the half walls, scrolling, keep on scrolling all along down. Alright, here we go. Now if we go to the half walls, you see that this original piece, the big long one, fits perfectly. That's a good sign. Okay. And so now if we're going to add a second tier, that also fits perfectly. And then so you get this nice flap that overhangs the first level much better. Okay, so just by adding that 4 additional studs, a 4 by 16 piece, all the alignment of your roof pieces this way go very well, and it's much better looking than this way, although this is a good avenue. Now if you wanted to, if you didn't want to go to a second tier, that's fine, because it does add a higher pitch to the level. This is where I suggest putting in 4 floor pieces. To do your roof line. Okay, so you could do that. However, this is where it gets kind of complicated. If you want to add roof pieces, you can't. This is going that way, okay? So in other words, break this off. We want to continue doing roof lines going this way. And these are 16 wide roof pieces. And you see we fall short. Okay, so we have fallen short at red lines. So remember that extra 4 studs that I was demonstrating earlier? The reality of it is you need to do that all the way around. If you want a good, strong, solid foundation of a building that's really easy to build, you put down your 16 bys, and then what you're going to do with your foundation pieces is you're going to want to go ahead and put that around in the perimeter, all the way around, and then you're left with that small corner that you fill by with a 4x4. And then now if we were to duplicate this entire structure over here, bear with me folks, If you duplicate that entire structure over here, you will see that everything will line up with the roof side. So alright, so I'm just doing these different walls just for comparison yet again. And let me see if this is in my recents. No, it is not. We were using these yellow pieces. I will switch to using the green ones too. Here's the medieval package ones. Here is the wood free ones as well. Some of the new Star Wars pieces as well. Those all have the same pitch. Some of these are a little bit different. This is a wide one actually, so that's a little bit different. Let's see. I'm just going to stick with these for right now. Actually, let me do this one. Alright, so you see a lot of our pieces are still about the same. And I'm going to go down, go to our half walls. This is where I sing scrolling, scrolling, scrolling again. And so I'm going to use the blue one now, and you see that even with the blue piece, it's still the same as the yellow one down there. And here we are. We're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now if I were to do the roof pieces all the way across, it doesn't matter if I use this. I use this. Or this. Okay, well, this one I have to use the yellow one, so let me find the yellow one. Of course, it is nighttime and it's hard to see. Which one is that one? No, not lightly. We'll try the Star Wars one. Okay, it's not going to let me mix these pieces. Let me do these real quick. Oh, I had this one backwards. Okay. I had the pitch going in the wrong way, so let's fix that. Okay, so these are 16 by. So let's go back to mixing pieces then, because that was my error. So there's that roof. Let's try a Star Wars one as well. So I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can put on some lights. Well, okay, so you can kind of see, even with mixing the pieces, all of them fits really, really nice. So that's, now we learn how to go the width and the length by really just adding that additional 4x16 stud piece on the foundation. Now let's talk about going into a second story, because that's the next side of this. So I'm going to wreck my roast real quick. I'm going to pick this corner over here to do my second story. So this is what I come across a lot. Let's go ahead and mix another wall. I'm going to stick in a B2 wall here just so that everybody sees. Okay, so this is what my exterior looks like, and sometimes it doesn't matter, even if you have a regular wall or a windowed wall. So let me put in a windowed wall for comparison. There's something I want to highlight there at the top, because this is going to come into play when building staircases up to the second level. So let's say we're going to put in this window right here. You see the wall goes in place and everything is good. But one of the things that... Yep. Okay, now we're on the exterior. Okay, so one of the things that come into play that affects building staircases a lot are these little studs right here. Let me zoom in. Those studs right there. There they are. So the studs on the wall, that plays a role in trying to build a ladder a lot. Okay? And I'm going to show you why. Because if we were to take a ladder and try and put it in that corner, that gets in the way. Okay, so what most people do is they have to put it on the side, put a gap over here, and it just doesn't look as good. So I'm going to show you the fix for this. Each of these walls, even though they're 16 wide, they should have a counterpart that's less wide. So let's go to the yellow ones. So if you go to the yellow ones, they have a wall that is 8 studs wide. So now you can go here, here. Okay, so that's on the yellow side, and then I'm going to go to the corresponding blue, for example. So here's the blue. If you look at these ones that are 4 studs wide, they do not have those nubs there at the end. And just for comparison purposes, here's the Anarchy Acres. And then let's go... same thing applies if you're doing the nightlies. No studs there. So all the same. Okay, so now we've placed some walls that are 8 studs wide in place. We get the same look on the exterior. Of course, I'm mixing builds here. Alright, so now when you go to lay down your ladder, you put it in place, you'll see that the ladder is nice and flush, touches the edges, and it butts up against the corner really, really nice. Okay, this is good. But when you go down here, you look and you still have all the studs showing. So with that, we want to add flooring for aesthetic purposes. So now I want to go back to flooring. Let's say I want to add some wood floors. I want to make them look this way. So now we have wood flooring in place all throughout our build. Okay, you see that the walls are gapped down. Yep, and one stud off here. Hang on, let me fix my flooring. Alright, so now we have our flooring in place. And if you look here, there's going to be a gap between the walls and the floor. And then so now when we go to put our same ladder in place, it doesn't matter what ladder you use. You go up here, now you see that the ladder is one stud above, right? So there's a gap. So to fix this, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put down some pieces to do the perimeter of the build. And this will re-level everything off. So we're going to start with a 16 by first. And then we're going to put a 6 stud wide or 6 stud long piece there. And then we're going to go to a 12 stud. And then that's in place. So you see I've got a 16, a 6, and a 12. And what that's going to allow me to do is now start doing the same thing around the perimeter. There. And so now instead of, you know, that's for 2 pieces wide, and now that we're go to 3, we can add yet another 16. And then we're going to start the process again for the last couple. So we're going to add the 6 stud wide. Yep. And then the 12 stud wide. And then now we're back at this wall. Okay, so this would be good. You go around the entire perimeter. So if we're going to go backwards, then this is going to be the 12 stud one. This is going to be the 6 stud one. And we're going to end it. So we've got the 12 stud, the 6 stud, or the 12 stud, the 6 stud, and then now we can do our 16 stud. And because our walls are 3 deep, we end up right where we need to be here at the very end. And if you look, everything is now flush. Okay, so this is the point where we get to put in our flooring for second level. I'm going to line it up with being flush right there. And okay, and so now we start our second level. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. I'm going to use multiple pieces so that you can see color contrast. And then now we're left with this opening here for the very last one. Okay, so to fix that, we are going to do some more 16 by 2 pieces. And I will swap this. It's going to end up being 4 of them, so I'll just kind of mix them so you can see the difference. So 4 of them will go flush. Okay, and here we go. Now if you wanted to, the gap going up here is a little bit long, so if you wanted to, you can add an additional 2 pieces. So let's go ahead. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and close up this gap a little bit here by adding 2 additional 8 by pieces. Okay, so you got the 2, and then you have the ability to go back down. Okay, and this is good. You've got a nice staircase. Now if you were to add a third one because you think it's still too wide, I will show you what that looks like. It looks like you're going to bang your head and you're not going to be able to go down. So maximum of 2 additional pieces to close up that gap and maximize your floor space. And then if you are going to add another staircase, you're going to repeat this process all over again. Okay, I'm going to tear down some of these builds because I'm going to show you the difference of what you can do when you're laying down your walls. Okay, so remember I talked about this 1 stud gap difference. You also have the ability to put these pieces down below before you place your walls. So remember we did, at the very end, we did a 2 by, and we did the 12 by, which doesn't fit now, okay? But it will if we got rid of this wall. So let me get rid of that wall for demonstration purposes. So here's your same 12 by. And then if we go this 16 by 2s, you'll see that we'd be able to fit a couple in a row had we not have this angle piece in here. Okay, so now if you wanted to build your entire foundation and do the perimeter down here, you can. And then when you go to place your walls, you're still going to use your 4x walls. Okay. Or your 8 studs. Okay. But now the difference is it's already flush with the top. Okay. And the line that you see on the pieces will actually be down here instead of up here. So when you add your next level will be more of a continuation, and you won't have as thick of a line at the top. Okay, so let me show comparison purposes. If we were to put the next yellow wall at the top, you'll see what that looks like. Okay, you've got this thick space, but if you look here, that line going across is a lot thinner. And so depending on the aesthetic purposes, you can change it. I like the beachy pieces because they have the white bottom. So when I mix the two together, it seems to flow and blend pretty well. On the yellow pieces, there isn't a yellow one, but the brick pieces, if you look at the brick pieces, they have a piece that matches pretty easy, pretty good. This one right here. I'll just put it down here for comparison purposes. Now if you look at the colors there, those two colors match pretty good. So that you can make the aesthetic however you want. And now with that space, going back to the ladder here, now with that piece added there, when we go to put in the ladder, it's back to being even yet again. So you keep your flooring, and you have different ways of setting your walls. Personally, there's no right way, no wrong way. Sometimes it has everything to do with how you want the aesthetics to look. And you can mix and match pieces. Earlier, you know, I talked about the BG set because of the blue walls. I like that the best. The other piece that I talked about that I use quite frequently is actually in the pillar section, and that is this 1x4. I find myself using this in a lot of the builds, especially with building the cars and stuff like that. That has come in handy. I'm hoping we get a 1x2 soon enough. I think that is the missing link, potentially a 1x1. If you haven't caught my video with regards to upgrades we want, I chat about that a little bit. That'll make the build process a lot better. But in terms of building buildings and custom buildings, this is the easiest way to get started. It allows you to mix all the different pieces together if you want different aesthetic purposes, or you can see that it all applies to the same builds no matter what. So I hope this tutorial has helped you. If you like it and it's getting you started in the right direction, great. If you're a custom builder and looking to take it to the next step, there are definitely some additional build tricks that come in handy as well with regards to how you do custom builds. I use all of these tips and tricks to build all my custom buildings now. I'm not really building any of the basic ones that come with the blueprints. They do come in handy. You can set them up really quick. But when it comes time to getting buildings to look the way you want it, this is what I do. This is what I do here. Now I mix different roof lines. I also have multiple floors going as well now, with different roof lines as well. and it comes out pretty good. So I'm hoping it helps. And if it makes a difference in your building, great. I truly appreciate everybody's help in viewing the videos and whatnot. And again, thank you so much for being part of the team here. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch videos with me. And don't forget to keep gaming in your crosshairs.